Welcome back to my series on textures. Last time we talked about wood texture, and this time we're going to explore metal and its different surface textures. First, let's draw the basic shape and sketch something to apply the metal texture on. I like to start with a basic shape like a cylinder. You can choose a sphere, a cube, or a cone if you prefer. Then, as usual, we need to first determine the angle of the light source before anything else. I'm gonna put mine here on the top right side of the plane. And so this way, I will have a shadow casted by the cylinder on the floor like this. Just like wood, metal comes in many variations and can look very different depending on how it's treated. It can be shiny and reflective like a mirror, or it can be matte. When you're drawing metal objects, a shiny finish can often be a good choice. It's not necessary for every metal object to be super shiny, but it's definitely worth considering for objects that are unusual or fantastical. Drawing metallic surfaces can be a challenge, but with the right techniques, you can create realistic metal effects. For this step, it's important to leave some of the paper white. This will be the highlight later on. Decide where you want the highlights to be, but don't go crazy and add too many. Highlights are usually near the light source and on raised parts of the metal. Choose a light gray as the base color or the base value and fill it in. Some parts of the metal might have a slight gradient of value. You can clearly see that all the reflections and highlights on the surface of the cylinder are vertical. The thick white line is also clearly visible, and it's also vertical. The white area representing the main highlight comes from the direct reflection of the light. If you look at different metal objects around you, you can even see the environment reflected in their shiny metallic surface. Use an HB pencil and make the value fade out with soft strokes and add a slight gradation on this edge as you get closer to the light source to indicate the roundness of the cylinder. For all of these steps, I used an HB pencil. Using a silver colored pen or pencil won't help you achieve a realistic metal effect. So instead of doing it in a complicated way, all you have to do is to leave a white space for the highlights and use the white color of the paper. By adding some dark values next to these whites, you can create a great contrast to create the illusion of a metal surface on your 2D paper sheet. For the second value, use a value that is 1 or 2 shades darker than the base value. I switch my pencil to a B. Use this darker value to create a sharper edge for the highlight and to darken the sides of the gradients you've added. But don't cover up all of the lighter values. Leave some of it visible to make the metal look shinier. Metal effects are characterized by the way they reflect the light. When light is reflected directly back towards the viewer, the surface appears very white. In this case, the artist doesn't have to do anything special to show the metal and reflection effects. The area where the reflection appears will simply be left white. In a painting, this area would be marked with white paint. Now, with the help of shadows, we are gradually seeing defined edges on the drawing. Finally, it's time for the darkest value. This value should be much darker than the previous one by about 1 or 2 shades. Use this darkest value sparingly. Add it to one side of a highlight's edge to create a shadow or to suggest a strong reflection. Unless you're using it to darken an area with a gradient, try to leave it as a sharp, standalone value. The more reflective the surface is, the harsher the color contrasts become. If the surface is less shiny, the colors won't contrast as much. But even with less shiny metal, you'll still have some bright highlights and some darker areas. Shiny metal surfaces don't show a simple smooth curve from dark to light. Instead, they have a unique pattern. On stuff like clay, wood, or rusty metal, the transition from dark to light is gentle with a gradual change in tone. But for shiny metal, it's different. The darkest part might gradually get lighter, then might sort of flatten out for a bit. Suddenly, it might jump to a bright point that shows the metal's shine. After that, it can go back to a darker shade with a smooth fade. To make a metal surface look realistic, it's important to have that sharp peak in brightness. The smoother the curve, the rougher and less shiny the material will look. The steeper the curve, the more reflective it will be. By manipulating light and dark tonal values, you can capture the visual qualities of matte and glossy surfaces, as well as the play of light and shadow on metallic objects. The thick and narrow lines on the bottom surface of the cylinder are also important for drawing metal reflections. How well you draw this reflection will have a big impact on the overall effect of your drawing. The part of the floor that the object is closer to has a darker shade because the object is closer to the ground, and gradually the cast shadow becomes lighter and fades. With the main shading done, you can also make the highlights stand out more by using a dark pencil like a 6B graphite pencil. Metals like silver, gold, chrome, and bronze have distinct visual effects that come from how they shine and their different colors. While you might think you need special silver, gold, or bronze colored pencils to draw these effects, they don't always work that well, even if they have glitter. To draw metal effects and textures that look real, you need to use a special drawing and painting techniques. But don't worry, you don't need any fancy pens or pencils. The regular graphite pencils you have are enough. Different metals have different colors, like yellow for gold, white for silver, and orange or brown for bronze. They also have a special feature. They can reflect light in a way that makes them look shiny or glossy. To draw metal effects and textures that look real, you need to practice showing how light and shadow reflect off the surface. This tutorial will provide you with the essential basics for drawing convincing metal effects. The steps I described can also be used for other types of metal like bronze or even gold. Just change the colors and values for your liking. I double-checked my drawing as usual and did some final touches to have this result. I added some highlights, defined the edges, and make the metal texture look polished. I hope this tutorial is helpful and have fun trying it out. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you for the next one, and bye.